everybody. Happy Friday. Happy June. This is Steph, founder of Host Agency Reviews, and this is the Friday 15. This is every Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time. We answer your questions that you have submitted at hostagencyreviews.com/Friday15. Now, thank you to Travel Leaders Market Square for sponsoring today's episode. I'll put a link in the comments as well as the notes for you if you're interested in checking out their profile. They're a Minnesota-grown agency. They're just about 20 minutes away from me. So I've known them for a really long time. Those of you that are tuning into the video have an extra special treat today because you're like, who is that woman? She's saying she's Steph, but she looks so different. And that is right. I got my hair cut yesterday. And so there is leftover great looking hair from my hairstylist, Jason. It is actually down and looking somewhat professional. Don't expect this for like another 9 months or a year when I get my hair cut again, but very exciting. I feel very professional today. Couple of things before we get into our questions. So first is that today is the last day of our survey. If you've been following the Friday 15, you know the survey has been going on for about a month and a half, and it is time to wrap it up so that we can get the results out. Last year, we were able to publish 2 55-page reports for advisors, chock full of information. And I want to just mention that if you are a brand new advisor, even if you're in your first year, or even if you haven't technically opened your doors yet, take this survey because we have a new agent portion of the survey that asks you questions like how much did you spend to get started? Did you go with a host or did you go on your own? Which niche are you in? Are you planning on charging fees? And this can give all sorts of information for other new advisors coming in. So super helpful, and it's only going to take about a minute or two of your time. If you're experienced, of course, we'd love to hear from you as well, as the rest of the port focuses on more experienced advisors. But please go ahead and take the survey. I'm going to pop up on the QR code our link to it. Otherwise, you can go to hostagencyreviews.com/survey or follow the link in the notes. But a quick thing to mention as well. In the past, we have done the reports for free. Going forward, it's only advisors that take the survey that will receive the reports for free. And again, it's just going to take you a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes tops if you're a person that gets all the questions, which will not be very many of you. So it's just going to take a few minutes, and you're going to be able to get 2 55-page reports full of lush, delicious data straight to your inbox. So other things to go over is our course affiliate. I mentioned this last week, I think, but we do have our course affiliate. So we launched how to start your travel agency course in January. If you know Har, you know we create really great content. This course is wonderful. If you have friends, family, clients that are interested in starting an agency and you want to know that they're in good hands, you can earn 20%, which would be about $80 per sale. So you can go to hostagencyreviews.com/affiliate to sign up for that. Or you can follow the link that for the QR code that I just popped up. Let's see. Last thing to mention, ASTA Legislative Day is coming up and I will be attending. I'm super excited. It's in Washington, D.C. We're going to put 2 links in. So one is going to be for the event if you want to learn more about it. The other will be about an article I wrote up about what the experience is like from when I attended a few years ago, so you can get an idea. But ASTA Legislative Day is a great experience for any advisor to get involved with. When you start running a company, things the government do affect your company and can cost you money. So it's a great idea to be supporting ASTA, who is our voice on the Hill. And being a part of Legislative Day gives you kind of an insider's peek on that. So I'd highly recommend it for anyone that hasn't gone. And if you are going this year, keep an eye out for me. I love to meet listeners. And if you're going and you want to drop me a note ahead of time, you can send me a note at stephanie@hostagencyreviews.com. And let's get into our questions. So first one comes from Tanya B. Hello, Stephanie. I'm still confused where you would use your agency name. For example, Har has a contest or webinar I want to attend. I am requested for the IATA number, which is my host agency's. However, it also asks for my agency name, address, and phone number. Do I put all that under the host agency name their name, address, and phone number, or do I use my personal business agency name, address, and phone number? I understand the difference between the client and the vendor. The clients, I would use my information, but I'm still confused about the vendor request. And Tanya, that is perfectly legit and a great question. First of all, I want to say that for those of you that don't know what an IATA or IATA number is, I will put a link into our article on travel agency accreditations in the notes so you can read up a little bit more on that. But Tanya, for what you're looking to do, if it's a webinar or something on those lines where they're just trying to do educational things, go ahead and you're going to put your host agency's IATA number because that's the only one you have. But then go ahead and put your actual agency's information in there. When you want to be using your host agency's address and phone number, is going to be like when you're calling in to make a booking. Because that's tied to the larger agency. So if they ask for your phone number when you call in, you're going to want to give your host agencies. That is, unless there's a secondary phone field at your host agency, which is getting kind of complex, but you will know if you have it because then you can give your phone number at different select vendors. But that is not what happens with every host agency. It's only a handful of host agencies that have it. So as a general rule, when you're talking direct with the supplier about a booking, give your host agency's information unless you have that secondary phone field for that supplier. Otherwise, if you're signing up for webinars or if you're signing up for a free giveaway at an event, put your agency information in there. Because like for a webinar or something like that, they're going to want to contact you and you're going to want them to have your contact information. So hope that makes sense, Tanya. That was a great question. Thank you for submitting. Next one comes from Anonymous. Anonymous is asking, I applied for my LLC with the state last night. Yay. And I'm mailing in the form for the FEIN, which for those that don't know is the Federal Employer Identification Number. But what does one need for collecting sales taxes? I assume I don't need one since the host agency collects the sales tax. If I am designing tours and packages, then do I need a tax number? Couple different questions in here. And this one actually ties in great with, I was talking about ASTA Legislative Day. So one of the huge things ASTA does for our industry is they do advocacy for us on the Hill. I didn't understand a lot of this in all honesty until I went to Legislative Day and then things started kind of clicking. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But so you do not need to collect sales tax on the product. So that will be through the vendor. So say you booked a Sun and Fun package through Delta Vacations. Delta Vacations, all the money's going through them. They're the ones that collect the sales tax and then distributes it to the states and things along those lines. And again, that's for the product. So you don't need to worry about sales tax. Now, in terms of sales tax on, say, service fees or consultation fees, that might be something a little different. And that's something where ASTA comes into play because it never fails that there every year or two, or maybe even every year, a state comes up with an idea of like, oh, we should tax travel or we should tax travel advisors. And what ASTA does is they're looking at that legislation that pops up and they flag it because none of us go ahead and look at well, I should say not none of us because maybe someone does. But I know I personally don't go and listen to what's legislation is being published over here in Minnesota. And I definitely do not read the legislation, which is something ASTA does. And if it's something that's going to affect travel advisors, where say they're going to start taxing your consultation fees, which means not only are you going to be making less on the consultation fees, but it's actually going to create more work for you because now you need to be keeping track of and submitting the sales tax for your state. But ASTA keeps track of that. So that is something you'll want to check on your end. I don't know of any states that tax travel advisor services, consultation fees, etc. All right, a quick addendum to today because Evan wrote back. I wrote him and I was like, I have a quick question for you. And I was so impatient. Evan got back to me 3 hours later, but I couldn't wait. And I recorded our Friday 15. So now you know 2 secrets. 1, I'm super impatient. And 2, sometimes I pre-record the Friday 15s. At any rate, this is going to be great because Evan wrote back and there's a little bit more information in there than I just wanted to put in the notes. So this is what Evan wrote back. So first of all, He says, many states have tried about this sales tax issue. So, taxing what travel agents, the services they're providing. Many have tried, and we have won on this issue many, many times. And he says, West Virginia is the only state I know of that specifically taxes travel agency services. And they do it very narrowly at that. So, it covers in state travel only. So, if you're a travel advisor selling to in state travel, if someone's going from, I don't know very many West Virginia cities, so I'm sorry, one West Virginia city to another, then that would technically be taxed. I'm going to link to, because Evan in all his glory and governmentness has sent me over the PDF so kindly. So I'm going to link to the PDF. So if you are a West Virginia based advisor, take a look at that. And then Eben also says there are a few states that have catch all gross receipts taxes. So that's like on everything that you're selling. So those are New Mexico and South Dakota. And those, in theory, include travel advisors, but he has never heard of a member complain about them. So there must be some non intrusive workarounds. Have no idea what those are, but your tax person, if you live in New Mexico or South Dakota, will likely be familiar with these and be able to tell you more about them. But I will also link to the websites that Eben sent over for New Mexico and South Dakota for those of you that live there and have your agencies there, so you can get the up-to-date information on it. And then Eben says that's the short answer with regards to the travel services, quote unquote. The long answer is on the host agency side of things and how they provide to advisors. They're still not sure how state revenue departments view them. But that only applies to host agencies. So most of you do not have to worry about that. So again, big thank you to Eben and ASTA. And this is just one of the many reasons why you should be supporting ASTA and becoming a member of it, because they follow up on information like this that no one in their right mind would ever follow up on. So thank you for joining us. We will see you next Friday. Information. And let's see, Anonymous, in terms of getting your tax number, for the sales tax, you should just be able, you shouldn't need one again unless for some reason in your state you're collecting sales taxes on the consultation fees, but that's not something I'm aware of. So we will link to ASTA's advocacy page for people who are interested in learning more about it. And if you're kind of in this process where you're with the LLC and the FEIN, kind of wondering how all that fits together, again, we will put a link into our course, which kind of walks people through this. And we also meet with you twice a month or daily in the community to answer your questions that you might have about it. So let's see. Next question is from Ashley. I'm still in the process of setting up my travel business, and I'm going to set up an LLC. I see that it might be beneficial to hire a registered agent. Do you have any recommendations for a service that would provide this? So, Ashley, I would say that you don't need a registered agent. So, for those that aren't familiar, a registered agent is essentially like not a spokesperson. They're a person that will receive information from the state about your company. So, for instance, when I need to go ahead and my LLC needs to be resubmitted again at the end of every year, I'll get an email from the state saying, hey, just a reminder, you need to click this button and re-register your LLC. So the registered agent is the person that's going to receive that. If you live in your state, you can be your registered agent, and it shouldn't be a problem at all. Where registered agents come in handy is for people that you've probably heard of, like how in Connecticut, a lot of businesses have their LLC in Connecticut, their main LLC, or maybe like in Minnesota, you might have it in South Dakota because there's no sales taxes or there's no income taxes in South Dakota. And then because you need someone in the state that has an address and that they can contact within the state, you might need to do a registered agent. So Ashley, I don't have a great service for you because it's going to depend by state, but I will say for nearly all advisors, because you're living in the state you're registering in, it shouldn't be an issue for you. And I wouldn't pay to have a registered agent because you can just have it sent to you. Let's see. Last question is another one from Anonymous. So this person, good afternoon from your neighbor to the east, the Northwoods of Wisconsin. Yay. Question: I was trying to sort or search for host agencies that allow the agent to retain their clients if they choose not to renew their newly yearly contract. So essentially, what Anonymous is saying is like if they leave their agency, they want to make sure that they can take their clients with them. So I did not have any luck with what I typed in. Do you have a blog or an article possibly on this? And could you send that information my way? Thank you for all you and your team do. So I'm just going to share my screen here on the video. And for those of you that are listening in, all I'm going to do is go to hostagencyreviews.com. And then on the homepage, we can say I'm looking for a host agency, and then we'll end up on the host agency list. And why I am showing you that is because while we don't have an article that lists everybody, the general idea is that every host agency, if you're bringing clients into them, they should never keep your clients because you are an independent contractor and those are your clients. Now, the asterisk on that is that sometimes if a host agency has a lead service and they provide you with leads, because marketing for those leads and things can cost them money. Sometimes the host will say that those leads belong to them. And when you leave, those leads have to stay with them. So on our site, there is a way to see that. So let's just click on a profile here. And if you go on the host agency's profile, and you look under program details, you will find information here on the lead program and whether or not they have it. So this was a bad example because this host does not have a lead program, but let me click on one that I pretty sure does. Okay, so let's see. Nope. I'm hitting and missing here. I should have looked this up ahead of time. Okay, I'm pretty sure this one does. Come on, Steph. Okay, so here we go. On the leads program, underneath program details, it will show if they have a leads program. And if they do, that kind of does some conditional logic that opens up two more questions that you'll be able to see. So, one, we ask, does that lead belong to? And then they can either say the agent or the host agency. And that's the question that you're going to be looking for, Anonymous, because if it says the lead belongs to the host agency, that means that any leads that have come from them will stay when you leave the host agency. But again, for any clients that you're bringing in on your own, your host should never, ever keep those clients. That should be without saying. Otherwise, that would just be awful for independent contractors to do all this work and then have the host agencies keep the clients. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Well, that was amazing. I did 15 minutes and did 4 questions today. So, thank you again to Travel Leaders Market Square for sponsoring today's episode and making it possible so we can answer your questions. Who do we have coming up ahead for us? June 9th, next week, we have TPI will co host with Jen Lee. January, or no, not January, June 16th is going to be Million Miles Travel with Tammy, who will be co hosting with me. And then June 23rd, a name that might be familiar to you by now, because I think she's done one every month for the past couple months, is Travel Leaders 365 with Lindsay Taylor Lauer co hosting with me. So before we close out, just a reminder again to subscribe for your e-reminders, or you can get text message as well for the Friday 15, where you'll be able to see the questions that we'll be answering that week. You'll be able to see the co-host and a link directly to watch the show. So thank you for joining us. Happy weekend. I hope everyone's hair is looking as delicious as mine today, and we will see you next Friday.